Welcome. In this video, we're going to do an unboxing of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse expansion for Marvel United X-Men. So down at the table, taking a look at our box, and on the back, seeing what we get in here. So X-Men, the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, is an expansion for Marvel United that pits the X-Men against the might of Apocalypse and his 4 lieutenants. Heroes may choose to first engage the 4 Horsemen, taking them on one by one in a single epic game. Any that are defeated is weakened for when they come to the aid of Apocalypse in the final battle against this nigh insurmountable foe. Let's go ahead and take a look in the box here. So on top we have our rules showing our components, so our miniatures and the other cardboard and cards in there. Going over mandatory effects, so some cards have things that must be done. And for gameplay on this, basically you can go straight to Apocalypse if you want, or you can do a prelude going up against the 4 Horsemen, and if you take them out, they'll be weaker in the final battle. So for this, with the 4 Horsemen, you don't use the mission guide or the mission cards. Place their own dashboard in play, and their deck is going to be changed depending on the number of heroes, and it's got the special rules there. The Horsemen are going to succeed when they complete their plots, and they're defeated if they haven't succeeded at their plot at the end of the turn in which they played their last master plan card. So each of them is going to have their separate deck, and then you'll move on to the final battle. And if you've done the prelude, they could be weakened in this state. And just going over the special rules for the Apocalypse Tracker and Survival, and we'll see how those work when we look at these cards. So here's our dashboard if we're fighting the 4 Horsemen. Going over the special setup. Special rules. Missions are not used in this game. The Horsemen are always under pressure and cannot be damaged. When a crisis token is added to a location, place it as if it were a civilian or thug. Heroes may discard a crisis token from their location by performing a heroic or fight action. Horsemen is defeated if they haven't succeeded once their last master plan card is resolved. If that happens, or if they succeed, swap their piece and deck for the next Horsemen's. KO special rules. KO villainous plot. Famine, war, and pestilence succeed immediately if a hero is KO'd. Death's KO special rule. When a hero is KO'd, remove them from the current game. They discard all their action tokens, but will return in the final battle against Apocalypse. Overflow. If civilian, thug, or crisis token can't be added to a location, add that token to the next clockwise location instead. And we're always going to fight them in this order, so famine, war, pestilence, and then death. Villainous plot. If 3 more locations are fully occupied by civilians, thugs, or crisis tokens at the end of a villain turn, the current Horseman succeeds. Place it with the next Horseman and continue with the heroes taking turns as usual. Villainous plot. If 2 heroes are KO, death succeeds. Move on to the final battle against Apocalypse. So we've got our locations here. So one that has a mandatory effect. So while in this locations, villains ignore 1 damage each hero turn. And if we succeed against the threat on here, you must discard a card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. So you definitely want to finish that off and then move. Then we have the Starlight Citadel. And once the first mission is completed, heroes may at any time replace this location with any other location not already in play. Move everything from this location to the new one. Then we have Apocalypse going over his special setup. So set aside the master plan card Age of Apocalypse begins and place it on top of the deck after shuffling it. Apocalypse's pyramid must be the villain's starting location. Starlight Citadel must be the hero's starting location. Place threat cards randomly in the other 4 locations with their corresponding villain pieces. Place the Apocalypse Tracker and Survival Tracker, use a villain tracker, on the 0 space of the Apocalypse track, which we see down here. So the heroes lose if the Apocalypse Tracker reaches 16. Special rules. If at the end of a villain turn, 1 or more heroes have taken any damage, increase the Apocalypse Tracker by 1. When a hero is KO'd, Apocalypse doesn't activate his BAM. Instead, increase the tracker by 1. Once he can be damaged, each damage that would be dealt to him increases the survival tracker by 1 instead. Each completed mission increases the survival tracker by 2. Heroes win if the survival tracker surpasses the Apocalypse tracker once 2 missions have been completed. BAM ability, deal damage to one hero in Apocalypse's location and in each adjacent location. Overflow, if it can't be added, increase the tracker by 1. And we'll look at our characters here. So first we have Famine. So these three are mounted, and we've got the one with flight. Then we have War. And Pestilence is next, if I can get this back in there. Then we have Death. And, of course, Apocalypse himself. And his little tracker, just a little acrylic cube. Then we have our cards to check out. So looking at our cards, starting with our anti-hero, so if we're playing him that way, starting hand, it's got Immortality. Draw a card as long as this card is face up in the storyline. When you are KO'd, the villain doesn't activate their BAM or any alternate effect. And then his cards there, going through his abilities. See, Survival of the Fittest, Celestial Energy Manipulation, and Self-Molecular Manipulation. And then when he becomes the enemy, starting Master Plan, Age of Apocalypse begins. And then the rest of his cards, we've got Famine Unleashed, War, Pestilence, and Death. And some different abilities there. Survival of the Fittest, Calling the Horsemen. Then his henchmen, they all have if you're playing fresh or they succeeded in the first mission or the weakened state. So we've got Famine in both versions, War in regular and weakened, Pestilence, and then Death. Then for the 4 horsemen themselves, their threat cards, Horsemen of the Apocalypse, got some Shedding Chaos, Fear Rising, Spreading Destruction. Shedding Chaos, Fear Rising, and Spreading More Destruction. Then for Famine, so they're each going to have 4 cards. Going over their actions. And War. And his actions. Pestilence. And finally, Death. So that is everything in the Horsemen of the Apocalypse expansion for Marvel United X-Men. As always, hope you enjoyed this unboxing. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.